Okay, good morning, everyone. So what we're going to do today, we're going to teach you how to analyze a file for a store. For example, that you have a grocery store, they sell product, and we're going to see the sales, we're going to see the product that are being sold, the customers that are making the highest sales, and so forth, okay? So to start with, there's a link that I want you to go to. This is a link of a project that has the data, a Azori project that has the data. So if you take this link and then go to Safari or Chrome, and then let's just paste this link here. And it will take me to my project. Now, it's important that you sign in to your own account. So you sign into your account. I'm going to pause this for a minute so that the people don't know my email. So after you signed in, you look at the project. What do we have in this project? We have some Excel files. We have accident data. We have superstore data. And then we have traffic accident data. The one that we are interested in is this one here, superstore.xlx. All right? Now, what's the first step to do? The first step you need to do is that you examine the data. Now, you cannot examine the data here on Azori. You need to download it, look at the file, and see what kind of data that you have and what kind of things you can do with this data. So I'm going to go to here and then download it. Click on download. Something is not working. Okay. Hello. Did it download? I am in my account. Do you want to download Notebook Azori? Yes, I want to allow. All right, so I will clone it in a minute, okay? But if I download the data and look at the data, what do we have in this data? Now, of course, we have a lot of columns here, but it depends on your need. If you're working as a data analyst in a company, you don't need a lot of this information. So you need to focus only on the information that you want. But let's examine what we have. We have record ID. We have the order ID. We have order date. When was the order placed? When it was shipped. The ship mode. How did we ship it? Customer ID. This is like when you sign up for any company, you will get your own identifier. Customer ID, customer name, segment, what type of customer it is. It's a consumer, a home office, a business, whatever. We have the country, we have the city, we have the state, we have the postal code, the region of the city, the region in the states, the product ID, we have the category, what type of product it is, and subcategory, quantity that was sold on that product, how much was the product, the sales, and how much money we made out of it, all right? So this is a lot of information. At this level, you might not know what are the business needs are, but we're going to do step by step to understand how we can analyze this data, all right? Right. So what is the first step? So I'm going to write these steps. First, I'm going to clone this project. So let's clone it. Come on. There's a problem here. Okay, so I'm going to call it case study. I'm going to give it as JW, all right? And leave the ID as is. Okay, and then you clone it. Now I am in that project, so I can edit this project. All right. Now what I'm going to do I'm going to create a notebook and write down the steps that we're going to do in this case study. So how do we create a notebook? Click on plus, notebook, and I'm going to do data analysis or store analysis. All right. The type is Python 3.6. And then we click on new. So now we have this file. Now let's open it and start doing what we are going to do in this report. Typically, what do we do? If it opens up, there is a definite problem. First, I'm going to create markdown. The reason of the markdown, so I document the steps. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to say first, I'm going to say steps to analyze sometimes like the data. What are the steps? First, the first step is to do what? Import Pandas. Right? So that's my first step. My second step is read the data file. My third step is what? Examine the data. Fourth step is clean the data, clean up the data. And then finally, perform data operations, such as selection, grouping, based on your need. Finally, you can do chart. All right. At the end, we do reflections. Analyzing our result. So this is what we're going to do in this example. So what is the first step? Import Pandas. So I'm going to say import Pandas as PD. That's my first step. Run it. Okay, so that finished successfully. What's the second step? Read the data. read the data. How do we read the data? The file that we're looking at is an Excel file. So what command do we use to read an Excel file? So we can say data equal pd dot read underscore Excel and the name of the file name. What is the name of the file name? Super score. Dot XLSX. All right, you get the idea? Now let's run it and see what happens. If everything is okay, we will not get an error, we get a number here. Sure. Oops. Sure. Hmm? So we read the data. Now we need to look at the data. The easy way to do it is just do what? Data dot head, and then it will show me the first 5 records in the data. So here's my data set. Okay, I have the row ID, ship date, ship mode, customer name, segment, country, postal code, product name, sales, all of that information. Yeah. So this is the data. Now you need to examine the data. Say, how many rows do we have? How many columns do we have? How many, what are my unique, what are the column names? Things like that. So for example, if we want to see how many records, total records do I have? How do I do that? You can say, for example, say data dot shape. And then if I do run that, it will give me, I have 9,994 records. All right. Mashing. If I want to know all the column names, what column names do I have? Then because here it's not showing me the proper column names. So if I want to display the column names, I can say data dot column. And then I run it, columns. Then I run it. It will show me columns, data dot. It shows me all the column names. So now I can use these column names in getting what I want. All right, so we know the number of, we know the columns, we know the data, we know how many rows do we have. Sometimes there are some record that has no values. It means somebody did not enter any values. So what do? We can drop those records from the list, from our data. So how do we drop them from our data? We can say data. We can say data. This is my data. I'm gonna drop this out here. Okay, data equal data dot drop an A. So when you say drop an A, it will drop all the records that has no values. So if I run this now, you'll see it ran okay. But I want to see if there is any difference between what we had originally and after we ran this command. How do we know if it dropped any rows? You know this by typing in data dot shape again, and if run it, shape. So compare the two. Looks like we are okay. So we didn't have any empty records, 9994 and 9994. All right. So this is part of the cleaning the data. This is a simple way of cleaning the data. If you want to do a more thorough data, then you have to look at the data and try to examine if you have maybe repeated rows, redundancies, and all of that stuff. Okay. Now what do we need to do? Let's say I want to know the total sales by a product. A total sale by a product. I want to know. See, remember I have a product ID here. You see I have something called country, city, postal, quantity, where product name. Do you see that? If I want to see how much we sold by a particular product, how do I do that? How do I know how much I sold per product? Now let me ask you these questions. Can you sell the product multiple times or not? So in the file, can you have the product repeated multiple times or not? Yes or no? Yes. So to add them all up, what do we have to do? We need to group them all together by this product ID and then figure out the sum. But because I have a lot of data here, I don't need to look at all the data. I only need to look at the product, maybe the sales, maybe the profit, right? So let's take a look at this. How do we do this? Let's say I want to ask these questions. Display, find the top. Find, okay, the top selling, top 10 selling product. How do I find the top 10 selling products? First, I want to extract that data and make it into its own columns. So I can say like this, product data equal to what? Equal, remember that lock function, lock, and then I can say what I want from here. How do I say what I want from here? I can put colon for all the rows, and then the name of the column that I want. What is the name of the column that I want? What is the name of the column that I want? Product ID, which is no product name. Let's just use the product name because ID doesn't really mean much to people. And what else? What else do we want? Sales, right? If you want to include the profit in it, you can include the profit. So now, if I run this piece, what do you get? We got an error because we are missing a bracket here. If I run this, what do I have in product data? If I do product data dot head, I will have only two columns. What are the columns? The product name and the amount of sales for that particular product. Is that clear? So that's the first step. We isolated the data that we want. Now you could use the product name, you can use the product ID, depending on how you want to display the data. So what can we do after that? This does not give me the sales per product. If I want to get the sales per product, I have to do something extra. What's the something extra we need to do? We say product sales or sales per product equal what? The product data dot what? Group by. Group by what? The columns that I want to group by. How many columns I wanted to group by? I wanted to group by this thing, product ID, product name. So I'm going to say group by product name. You can group by multiple product. You just have to list them, separate them by comma. Product name. And then I will have to say, what do I want to group by? In a previous video, we did the mean. But here, we're adding up values. Because we are adding up values, we can use sum. And now, if I do head after that, it will give me an error. Group by product data is not defined. Why? Oh, PRD data. All right, PRD data. So it gave me the product name and how much sales that we did for that product. And then this product name will only appear one time, because every time you have the same product repeated multiple times, it groups it together and it adds the sales for that product. So this one has only 25, this one has 41, and then this one has 488. But this one does not give you the top 10. This one give you only what? It'll only give you the top 5 rows. If I want to get the top 10, what do I have to do? We will have to sort the data first and then display the first 10 records. All right? So the next piece that we need to do is that we need to say, to get the top 10, we need to sort the data. Okay, before I get interrupted, what was I saying? Okay, we need to sort the data. And then display the top 10. Display the top, then display the 10 rows, top 10 rows. How do we do that? We say product sales or sales product then we do sort underscore values between the bracket, the column that we want to sort by. Which column we want to sort by? Sales, right? Sales, and then comma, ascending, false. That means I want it to be from top to bottom, then comma, in place, equal to true. So now if I run this, that the data is sorted by sales. If I do data, sales data, sales product dot head 10, what does that show me? The top 10 rows. Because the data is sorted, it will be the top 10 rows in a descending order. It will be the top 10 rows will be my highest products that were sold. So if I run it, you'll see these are my top 10. Canon, image, class, blah, blah, blah. And this, we sold 61,000 of this, or $61,000, and so forth. You get the idea? So now I can, after I did that, after I grouped them and I did sales by, I can do things like that. So we are able to, after we sorted the data, we are able to get the top selling products. But if we want to look at the least selling products, the least 10 selling product, how do we do it? So if I say display the least 10 selling products, how do I do that? Again, I can do sales. Because the data is sorted, the top will be on top, the bottom will be at the bottom. So I can say sales prod dot till, and then I say 10. And that will show me the least selling product. So these are my least selling product. Why is this useful to you? Why is this useful to a customer? For example, you can use it for multiple purposes. For example, you can say, okay, these products are not selling and they're taking space in the store. I want to get rid of them. So I can buy more of, or get more of the products that are being sold, right? Or maybe I want to increase the sale of these products. So maybe I can put discounts on it to increase the sale of this product. So that's how you use this information. All right? Is that clear? All right, so I'm going to stop on this video and then I'll continue with the graphing after this, okay?